Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this video I have for you game 3 of a best of 3 between Frubblord and Nilla in the playoffs of Season 2 of the Steel Division League. In this one they are playing on good old Orsha North, and they've both decided to play on the Allied side once again, just like they did in the first game. This time around though, on the red side on our left, we have Frubblord using the 2nd French and the Vanguard deployment type. And on our right, on the blue side, we have Nilla using the 3rd Guards Mechanized and the flatline deployment type. So two very aggressive divisions, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the Shermans match up, because they are obviously the same on both sides. 3rd Mech gets access to Lend-Lease Shermans, whilst the French just have their own. I think a big difference though is that the French can get access to the M8 Greyhound, so it'll be interesting to see if Frubblord chooses to use that. I think that the M8 Rush is still very much viable, and so it'll be interesting to see if that comes out to play. Either way, one big difference is in the AT department. I feel like the French definitely have better AT guns in the early game due to the use of 57mm AT guns as opposed to the 45mm that the 3rd Mech get. Infantry might be interesting as well to watch out for, because on one side you've got the voltigeurs and the sappers. Sappers can be really nice for close range engagements early on, whilst on the side of the 3rd Mech they're not too bad either, because they get a lot of cheap infantry in the form of the partisans, and those partisans do have Molotovs. They also gain access to like Avtos and Guardia and all that stuff as well, so I think the infantry matchup will be equal. It's going to really come down to who can break down the other person's armor, I think, and then use their own armor to make a push. Either way, we've got the same scenario in terms of deployment types, Vanguard versus Flatline. Last time Frubblord managed to outlast Nilla's Flatline, or Nilla's Vanguard, sorry, with his own Flatline, which was interesting to watch. But we'll see if Nilla can switch that around maybe for this game. Anyway, the last couple games were fantastic, and if you haven't watched them already, then definitely go check them out. Really awesome game so far, and a big thanks to Frubblord actually for putting his perspective into the comments, so go check that out as well. It's nice to give a bit of insight into what was going through his head and his thoughts on the game itself, so that's awesome, so big thanks to that. Either way, let's talk a little bit about bans. I'm not entirely sure what the bans were specifically, but I know both players probably banned the 3rd Guards Tank Corps and the 26th Guards. Those are both very common bans. The other two bans I think were the 1st Polish and Turin, but I didn't necessarily confirm that. But again, I'm sure Frubblord, if he's watching this, can let us know in the comments. Anyway, let's focus on what we have here. 2nd versus 3rd. And we'll jump in to looking at Nilla's units first of all. On the right hand side here, a couple of PTRS squads. These are 2-man AT rifles. Then we have the 45mm AT gun there. 2-star veterancy actually from the start, which is quite interesting. Then we have 2 Razvedka squads. These are 8-man recon with bazookas, really good for taking care of the Shermans. Then we have 2 of the Sapali PPSH with the submachine guns and Panzerfaust. They're 4-man squads. People tend to bring them because they come in jeeps, which allows them to get to the front line and contest areas early on. Followed that up by 4 units of Guardia DP, which are the standard rifle units with an extra machine gun, and there's also going to be an Avtomachiki there, which has the 10 SMGs and an AT rifle, not an AT rifle, sorry, an AT grenade. Going to be 2 Sapali PPSH there, 2 more AT guns, 3 Ognamachiki, which are the 2-man flamer squads. Further down we see 2 PTRS, 2 Sapali PPSH 45mm, and on the very bottom side we have 2 PTRS. There's going to be the 2 Razvedka there, as well as 3 units of Guardia, 3 units of the Partisans, and the M4 leader. Over on the side of Frubblord, we see 4 units of flamers on the bottom side here. There's going to be 2 of these AT guns. There's going to be a commandant there as well from the start, which I assume is just going to bounce to the leader M4 here. There's a second M4 as well. 2 of these voltigeurs in the M5 half tracks. These actually have an extra machine gun, which is interesting. We are going to see a bunch of 30 cals heading towards the middle of the map. And there's going to be a 57mm AT gun following those up. 2 flamethrowers on the top side. And then we see the voltages and the sappers up there as well. Another M4 leader following that up. So no tank for Nilla on the top side, so that might be something that Frubblord can exploit early on. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, it looks like things are going to be relatively equal. It depends really how well the voltages do. I feel like he might be lacking some sappers on the bottom side. We do see an initial engagement here. Looks like the VulcanHDGaming going to get the better of the 30 cal. And the second VulcanHDGaming going to get into the town as well. That's really, really bad news actually for these 30 cal squads. I'm not a massive fan of the 30 cal squads. I was actually quite surprised to see them. Normally, people would use the 50 cals if they were going to bring machine guns with the second French. But possibly Frubblord's using them because of the extra health that they have with like the 6 strength squads. Either way, the 2 PTRS should be able to make short work of the M5 half-tracks here if they start focusing on them. It seems at the moment they're both firing at the M4A1, and they do manage to get a shooter kill crit there, which is quite nice. But it is going to allow the machine guns of those half-tracks to get the better of the AT rifle squads, which is basically not the plan. The M4A2s, they really need to kill the enemy M4 ASAP, and they should have a good chance of doing so. They do have the extra veterancy. The Commandant providing this M4A2 with a 3-star veterancy due to the leader being nearby, which is really nice. The PTRD's just not really going to cut it when killing M4s. So basically Nilla can't lose this if he wants to hold on to this point. Let's see what happens. The M4A2, they're bouncing off each other. And engagements all across the map right now. Damn, look at that. Fails to kill the leader M4. The 2 more M4 coming in further back do manage to get a penetrating shot. Meanwhile in the town, the 2 VulcanHDGaming, they have managed to take control of both of these flanks, pushing 13 to 11 in the favour of Nilla. 2 sappers squads waiting to move into the town under the order of Frubblord, but currently being fired upon freely by the 45mm, which might cause Frubblord to lose both of these infantry squads. No, he does manage to unload it in time. Infantry engagements on the bottom side not going too well for Frubblord right now. His voltages are in trouble at range against the Guardia DP. Also, the Partisans getting Molotovs in at close range is going to help clean those up very quickly indeed. The M4A2 here is in a bit of trouble because it looks like the AT rifles might force the M4 to fall back, which makes it vulnerable to surrender. Meanwhile, these 2 flamethrower squads definitely not in a good position because they're going to get surrounded by the Partisans as well. And I tell you what, Molotovs are fantastic for taking out 2-man flamer squads, and that's exactly what Nilla's doing. He is crushing this bottom side, has managed to make that M4 fall back. The leader on the side of Nilla is pushing forwards to gain to take the kill, and it does get it. That's going to really open up this bottom side. The leader, or the Commandant, sorry, all on its own, and is going to have to do a runner. That's really, really bad news for Frubblord. He's completely lost the initiative on the bottom side. However, on the top side, things are going a little better for him. He's managed to get the sappers and voltages into decent positions. He's also decided to bring up some more reinforcements to this top side. Has already lost one of his tanks though, which is not good news at all. The sappers running into this town have also been forced back, and it looks like the M4 is helping support that. Nilla's trying to get some more Superdi PPSH, and you can just see how ineffective these 30 cals are at stopping anything. They're barely doing any damage to the Superdi PPSH. They don't unload any troops that go nearby. I would definitely take these out of the deck. Either way, this 57 did manage to kill one of the units of Superdi PPSH before they got in the town. And on the bottom side, it looks like Frubblord's just bringing in lots of voltages. Now, this is unfortunate for Frubblord because it seems as though he's maybe run out of sappers already. Because the voltages don't have any form of ATs, so these Shermans can quite simply just run over the voltages, and I'm sure Nilla, seeing all of these unload, might just run them down with those tanks, and there will be nothing that Frubblord can do about it until his M4A2s arrive. This may have been a little bit of a preemptive push with the infantry, and yeah, there you go. Nilla's going to be moving up. He's got the 2-star veterancy on those units. Has he got a commander over here? I don't believe he has. I think he's probably just bringing in his M4s at 1-star veterancy base and then using the M4 leader to put them to 2-star. Either way, as you can see, just ignoring all of that infantry, pushing forwards, getting ready to engage the tanks coming in from Frubblord, and losing that initiative on the bottom side has definitely caused a lot of issues for Frubblord so far, and maybe he's just been on the wrong end of a lot of these trades in terms of like being unlucky, because I think when it comes down to M4s on M4s, you basically got to get a little bit lucky, because you basically, it's a 50-50 who's going to win. And currently all of the trades that I've seen matter have gone in the favour of Nilla. Now it looks like Frubblord here trying to use a bomber to sway that in favour of his M4, but now we have Nilla charging that M4 with a bunch of Avtos and Guards DP. The Avtos are going to take a lot of damage in the open. Looks like Frubblord maybe going to micro to try and kill some of the transports. But now we've got 3 PTRDs that have the potential to engage the M4 whilst this M4 does so as well. Both of these ones still alive. The command or leader did go down. Really going to come down to if Frubblord can find these kills, and currently his M4s have let him down massively throughout this game. Fortunately, infantry engagement still going okay on the top side, but is definitely losing a lot of territory to Nilla right now. Nilla pushing 16-8 has already caused a double tick. Frubblord will lose the game in 13 minutes if it ends as it stands. The commandant has been found, and this is really bad news for Frubblord. Losing his commandant is a big deal. In a 1v1, you generally only bring one of these commanders, and so losing it and not having access to the extra veterancy for the rest of the game does put you at a huge disadvantage. But a nice double surrender there from Frubblord does clean up a couple of the Guards DP. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't let the Avtos get on top of his M4A2. Voltage is now going to be pushing up to clean up a second or third squad of Guards DP and potentially try and save this commandant. Great idea for Frubblord right now would be to put that on return fire so it doesn't reveal itself when the partisans jump forwards, otherwise that's going to take a Molotov to the face and die instantly. But he's probably microing elsewhere to notice. Does manage to dodge that out though, nicely done. And Frubblord puts it on return fire straight away afterwards. The good micro there, getting that out of there. Voltages going to be pushing up now with these two M4s. The engagement continues between the Shermans at distance. On the bottom side, didn't look like the commandant made it too far. Avtos, oh, they're going to manage to get the AT grenade on top of that half track, and both of the half tracks gone down. Voltages now going to be trying to engage the Avtos from range. Guards DP probably just need to move up and take that engagement instead of the Avtos. Oh, this Avto unit, if that had moved forward sooner, it might have managed to catch out this Voltages squad. Unfortunately, a little bit too late, and supported by the M4, the Voltages going to win out. Voltages continue their engagement. Guards DP now getting involved. This Oknemachiki, wow, it's capturing both this flag and this flag, the tip of the salient. Going right over that. That's 18-6. That would be a major victory in 5 minutes now for Nilla. This is incredible. Nilla's keeping up the pressure, and I think he's really taking advantage of his good trades with the Shermans at the moment. Has lost all of his Shermans now on the bottom side, and it looks like Frubblord does have positioning with his Sherman in the center, but he definitely does not have the infantry at the moment to continue these engagements, and it seems as though that's almost where he's fallen down. Yes, the M4 Sherman trades have not been in his favor, but also the infantry really has been outlasted by Nilla's forces. The Avto, Partisan, Guards DP combination, just too much for his flamethrowers and voltages. So currently 15-9, still double tick. Frubblord at least wants to capture one more flag right now so that he can save some of his tickets to recover later on in the game. But Nilla does have the advantage in income from Phase B, and we have just moved into Phase B. Now, I think Frubblord at this point will probably be sighing a bit of relief, because he will have access to more infantry, hopefully more sappers, that might be able to push back in the close range against a lot of Nilla's infantry. And instead, Frubblord going to be bringing in loads of M8s. It looks like maybe he had a card of M8s in phase A, because we have already seen some M8s on the map. But maybe just bringing in the rest of those as phase B arrives. Does manage to go 14 to 10. Save himself a few tickets, but oh, those voltages took a lot of damage very quickly indeed. Sapuri really doing a number on them. Guards DP also pinning them down with the machine gun. Oh, look at this Oknemachiki, what a hero. Taking on the 30 cal there. Is going to take them out. Probably not going to take out the second if it tries, so just going to have to fall back for the time being. Oh, we're seeing Avtos get in range of the M4. Oh no, that's not good. Snuck those up. Frubblord didn't see it coming, and that is a very efficient Avto squad all of a sudden. You hate to see it. M4 cleaning up the voltages in the center. Having lost his own, Frubblord does lose his presence here once again. The 57 going to be looking for the shot onto Nilla's M4. 2 more M4s on the way for Frubblord. DB coming in for the bombing strike onto the 45mm. Does manage to take it out. One of them hit directly, so that's good. And at the top side, well, Frubblord is still kind of holding on. Moving back his sappers and voltigeurs to the buildings is a good idea so that the partisans can't make good use of their Molotovs. The infantry engagement has proven to be very in favour of the 3rd mech, and it's causing Frubblord to struggle, especially now that he's lost his positioning. Pushing infantry into these trees is going to be so damn difficult, because Nilla can just back this up with any amount of AT now. He can bring in the Razvedka, which makes it really hard for the M4s to get close. He's got the 45s here that are probably going to creep up on return fire and blast these at short range. It's just going to be really difficult. And, well, the M8s actually, I didn't really think about this before the game, but yeah, of course. This is probably why Frubblord didn't choose to use the M8s in this matchup early on. And that's because of the PTRDs and the PTRS squads that Nilla will have access to. So basically, because these half-tracks have 15 armor, the M8s have 15 armor, every squad more or less that's not a partisan has some form of AT that can kill an M8, which makes them a lot less effective than if they were up against an Axis division, for example. So that's one of the sort of little niches that I guess these sorts of players will know about, having played Allied versus Allied previously and Allied versus Axis. I've personally only played a lot of Allied versus Axis, so that's not something I really thought about. But seeing it in practice certainly gives me that idea. Anyway, volunteers have arrived, and they're going to be engaging the Guards DP there. We're going to see the 45mm now engaging the M4s at close range. They're probably going to get a couple shots off before they're even revealed. And that's all it needs for the M4 to be turret stuck and now gun jammed. So the 45 will eventually kill that M4. Well, bails it out first of all, but probably going to die soon anyway. Frubblord now pushing forwards though pretty heavily. Has managed to take back quite a few flags. Did push an M8 over this flag briefly, which made it back to 12 to 12. And it's going to reach 12 to 12 again as the voltages push through the center. The Frubblord controlling the middle of the map and may be able to continue that with the use of the M4A376, but the Avtos at close range again. Could that be the death of Frubblord's M4A376? That would be an awful loss once again. I do really like these tanks, they're very cool and they have an amazing snapshot versus enemy armor. Definitely give Frubblord the advantage over Nilla's M4s. But this is where it hurts. The infantry getting absolutely mown down at the moment by Nilla's partisans and Guardia, and these volunteers, they're okay. They do have plenty of rifles and a machine gun, but just the sheer number of Nilla's forces here and the inability for Frubblord to get close is really hampering his advance. And the 45mm now going to be able to clean up the 45 or the M4, sorry. So both of those M4s going down. Now the volunteers completely without support. The infantry of Nilla should be able to clean that up. On the top side, once again, the volunteers going to struggle at close range, and Nilla continues to take advantage of it. He's pinning the Guardia at a distance. He's using those to spray the volunteers with machine guns, then pushing up close range with all of the partisans, which have the Molotovs, and just cleaning those out. Very, very nicely done. Nice methodical play from Nilla on the top and bottom side, where his infantry have an advantage. Meanwhile, in the center, Frubblord did take up positions, but it seems as though he's been losing his tanks here and there. And yeah, Nilla's just going to start exploiting that in the center as well. I really, really do hope that this was not an AT grenade, because that is something that's going to be really, really annoying for Frubblord to deal with. And it looks like it was, by the way that it was facing, and the Avtos having used up that ammunition. Yeah, 2 tanks going down to Avtos at close range, not something you want to see, but that is quite simply coming down to the fact that Frubblord's infantry isn't on the map for long enough to be supporting his tanks as it should be. Now we see the engagement between one of the M4A3s and the M4. In this case, Frubblord should win the engagement, but that doesn't mean that the M4 doesn't have a chance of killing the M4A3 at range, and you can see that that is going to be a gun jam and a kill onto the M4A376, and Frubblord is not having a good day with his tanks. These tanks are seriously letting him down in engagements that, again, could be 50-50, but in that case, the M4A376 should come out on top and just didn't. The Ziz-2 came over the hill whilst it was engaging the M4, and the Ziz-2 helping finish the job there nicely. More volunteers coming in on this top side. Frubblord's going to use that to take back this flag. 15-9 in favour of Nilla, still holding a significant lead and the double tick. So 6 minutes and 27 seconds now until Nilla takes the victory. And 45mm still doing damage on this bottom side. Look at that. It's managed to transmission damage and turret stuck the M4s. So this M4, even if it could see it, probably couldn't fire at range. The M4A2 can get its machine guns into range, but the transmission damage is going to be a real pain. Nilla down to 16 AP shells on this 45, just shows how much work that has done. Anyway, the 57mm going to take out one of the M4s in the center, and I mentioned how the 57s would be able to deal with the M4s of Nilla quite well, and that's just proving that. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be too little too late, as Nilla's infantry is now swarming the map without trading against Nilla's infantry throughout the game and not really using artillery. It's only ever going to get worse. And for those of you wondering why Frubblord maybe hasn't used artillery in 1v1 is very uncommon. Sometimes you'll see mortars, and the 2nd French do have some really nice mortar half-tracks that they can make use of. But in this case, Frubblord doesn't really have the extra cash to buy a mortar, and instead just needs to continue to funnel troops and tanks into his front line in order to attempt to trade efficiently against the armor, and then allow his armor to win back the infantry engagements. But unfortunately, where he's falling down is these armor engagements, and that's allowing Nilla's infantry to therefore stand strong against Frubblord's own. And that's basically a problem that's just only going to get worse and worse throughout the game, unless Frubblord can get a hero unit to start taking out units of Nilla. The bomber comes in there, takes out the 45 finally, but now he's got an even worse target to deal with, the Ziz-2. Now that Ziz-2, it can kill these M4s very quickly. It does have the APCR, which is pretty much overkill at this range. The AP shell would definitely be a better choice, but either way, VulcanHDGaming in the center, pushing across in the town, fully secured by Nilla now. 2 M4s, they're going to engage the volunteers. Might get taken out by the 57 though, we'll have to wait and see. Volunteers on the top side, VulcanHDGaming versus volunteers. These volunteers definitely need to be in cover, and currently that's going to make them lose that engagement. So this is incredibly rough. That is going to go down, the M4 on the bottom side. He's got 2 30 cal squads coming in, but now it's 30 seconds until Nilla wins the game, and I'm pretty sure at this point Frubblord realizes that there's not much else he can do. it really just spiraled out of control from his initial engagement on the bottom side. He had the armor advantage, but didn't have luck on his side. And the 50-50 between the Shermans is really, really rough when it doesn't go in your favor, because both sides are really, really reliant on these Shermans to basically support their infantry. But for Nilla, that's less of a case, because his infantry overall is better when supporting each other. So Frubblord needed to win the Sherman engagements in order to win the game, but couldn't, and that just made Nilla win all that much harder. So 20 minutes 45 seconds, Nilla's going to pick up the third game, which was a lot more decisive than the others we've seen in this series so far, and he's going to move on to the semi-final to face off against Sean. So congratulations to Nilla getting through the first round of the playoffs. Frubblord, commiserations. Definitely put up a great fight in this series. The second game was superb. 2,175 kills, 2,700 losses for Frubblord. Obviously opposite for Nilla. You can see the 57s, they do very well against the Shermans. One M4 here did manage to get a little bit of a hero play going. Kill both of the M4s on the bottom side and the M4 leader on the side of Nilla. Then we see the M4s there trading 1-for-1. That's okay. I mean, that's all you can really expect. But yeah, the 57s are what really turn the table in terms of armor engagements. But then you look at the side of Nilla, and his M4s just did well across the board. And again, just trading 1-for-1 for Nilla is actually a much better thing than it is for Frubblord, because Frubblord is so reliant on the M4s in order to push, as I've already mentioned. Those Avtos, they took out both that M4 and the M4A3 on this bottom side, and that is something that would tilt me for days. So I'm sure Frubblord was feeling that. M4 engaging and killing off all of these M8s. The M8s just didn't stand a chance against the PTRDs, and I thought that maybe like having the M8s early would have been a good idea, but thinking about it, definitely not. So I think Frubblord made the good call not bringing any of the M8s early. Like an M8 rush against a Soviet division would certainly get shut down very quickly with the amount of PTRDs that people use in Phase A at the moment in competitive play. So yeah, some interesting things to think about, and I'm certainly getting used to casting Allied versus Allied, and maybe we'll see Axis versus Axis in the future in the tournament. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Anyway, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. I have certainly loved this series, this one being a lot more decisive, but that's always a nice thing to see as well, when a player can really exploit an advantage they had, and Nilla certainly did that in this one. That's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.